you swore.
No. All right, I've hit the button. I hope no one made their plans around the fact that I posted that we were going to be posting at 6 p.m. tonight. If you did, I'm terribly sorry. You've come in 20 minutes too late. All the funny stuff you've done.
Yeah, all of it.
Welcome to a special live episode of the Pouch the Podcast. We are celebrating 5,000 downloads, and it just feels good, doesn't it? You know,
it does feel. It feels great.
Any number with 3 zeros after it just feels good.
Yeah, I mean, any number with any number of zeros after it is feels good.
It does. It does.
You know. Do you remember those days where you've resolved to spend your last $30 on beer, or some form of alcohol, or
it's called Monday
entertainment.
Yep.
Monday, exactly Monday. And the beer ended up being cheaper than what you thought it was, which is just a reflection really on your poor taste. But that's okay, because you look in your bank account the next day and you've got $20, and you're like, oh my god, $20.
That's exactly where you're going wrong, Jake. You check your bank account. You just don't check the bank account.
Yeah.
You get all the gadgets you need for the podcast and you don't check your bank account. That's how it works. And then it's great. Jake, I'm going to hit record on my...
Okay. Oh, yeah, good point.
On my...
we got to remember to do that much sooner.
3, 2, 1.
And 3, 2, 1.
So... welcome to this special live recording of the Pouch Podcast. We are celebrating 5,000 downloads, and I called Jake and I said, let's have a quiet beer. And he said, why don't we do a podcast, Greg? Because that's what we're celebrating. And I said,
we're having that quiet beer.
That's right. Let's have a quiet beer and celebrate 5,000 downloads of a podcast. And I said, well, that's genius. That's the sort of genius that I hire you for. So
one job.
Hello and welcome to The Pouch, the remixed Tina Arena songs of podcast that helps the average Aussie try and make sense of their current political environment. I'm Greg. Fine, I'll listen to Powderfinger's entire back catalogue. Savage.
And I'm Jake. Go the Broncos, Far Wharton. On today's episode, we talk good stuff, great stuff, and get stuffed. How'd you find something better than great stuff? Hey, Greg, what is your favourite Tina Arena song?
Did she the cover that she did?
Mine too.
Whatever song was recently covered by some band on Triple J's like a version.
Yeah. I mean, it's my favorite song too. I've always enjoyed Tina Arena. She's a tremendous singer, great voice.
She's also a big sponsor of the show. So thanks, Miss Arena. Yep. They should name an arena after her, shouldn't they? It should just be the Tina Arena.
They did, actually.
Arena. The Tina Arena.
They did, yeah.
Did they?
Yeah. Yep.
Now I just feel lame. We are an Australian news and politics podcast, and we do that.
Yes, we do. Not so seriously. I was waiting for you to say we do that stuff. And then I was going to say, not so seriously.
You were not. You were completely unprepared.
Invariably and rather ironically proves that we do it not so seriously.
So this is just, I suppose, this is going to be a little more of a relaxed podcast. There's not a real sort of, we do have a run sheet, but we don't. We're just sort of going to go. It's a little bit relaxed tonight. We do have a few stories. Jake,
Couch the couch.
How can people get involved in this episode? Jake, tell us if they're watching live on Facebook.
They can comment live on Facebook, and Greg will be able to bring it up on his screen. And if your comment is comment worthy, or even podcast worthy, he will bring it up, more prominently on his screen, and more prominently for all people to see.
That's right.
And then we'll discuss it.
Yes, we will. We'll bring it up on the screen. We'll discuss it. We'll have a chat about it. We want your good news stories as well. So we've got a few good news stories lined up tonight. The news has been so serious over the last few months, and so we thought we would do what everyone else is doing and do a good news episode.
Yes. Well, Greg, what good news have you got? What good news have you got to share?
Well, I'm glad you asked, Jake. We recently were approved. My wife and I were recently approved for a house, for a house loan. So we've
Wow.
yeah, and we think we've found one up here in the Blue Mountains, which is fantastic. So the house that we're in is wonderful, great, and also for sale. But we had a look around, and my wife the other day, she spotted one on realestate.com, big sponsor of the show, and we jumped on it. And so, yeah, it's looking pretty good. So that's just some great news. Like, it's really cool. I get a studio, Jake. So I'm currently in my garage.
That's so cool.
As you can see. If I get the house, that is, I get a studio. So that's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
But what
yeah,
about
yeah,
you?
yeah,
What are some good news that you've got, Jake? Share your good news with us.
Oh, look, yesterday I managed a at-home personal best. I know I talk too much about exercise, but yesterday I managed to squat all of the weight that I have in my garage, which was great. But today I have that yesterday was leg day feeling.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah.
I remember
So
that.
if you notice me wincing on the video feed every now and then, it's probably because I inadvertently had to move my legs in one way or another. Yeah.
Well, that's a beautiful thing about having a podcast, isn't it, Jake? Not everyone gets to see your face.
It's so true. Actually,
Wincing?
that's the best thing.
I think it's the best thing about my face. Yeah, but look, okay, so we'll take that into account if you're wincing or if you suddenly just sort of start, rolling around on the floor in pain
Crying.
or something like that. and I have to take over the podcast. That's totally fine.
Yep.
We're totally fine with that.
Good.
Yeah. So, Jake, I wanted to talk about what good news actually does to the body. If you are,
let's do that.
Yeah. Okay. So, what do you think it does? Let's have a little guessing game here. I know you do that on the iFriends. So let's go with scientists have recently discovered that hearing good news does what to the body?
Well, my guess is that there is a mixture of hormones, dopamine, maybe a little bit of dopamine, a little bit of endorphins, and I would suggest a little bit of serotonin. And I would suggest that cocktail of goodness keeps you, makes you feel good.
Yeah.
How did I do?
Good, I think. It sounds good. I do have some facts here. Are you ready to hear the facts?
Yep. I'm ready.
You're very close. I'm sure all those things were also part of the facts that I didn't study. It lowers the levels of cortisol. So, cortisol obviously a slow
Stress
build.
hormone.
Yeah. Slow build, right? Like if you have it over time and it builds and builds and builds and builds and builds, that's not good. That's when you get stressed. And it takes ages to come back down too. It's not like it comes down the day you jump on the plane to go to Hawaii or something. Like it takes a little while for it to come back to some sort of semblance of giving your mind control. A recent British study found that mice who listened to good news were 32.5 times more likely to find a mate.
Okay, so how do mice understand the news? And how can they discern? How do they discern between good news and bad? So, okay, so step one, teach the mice the language that you're trying to explain the good news in.
I don't question
and then
science,
firstly,
Jake.
teach them by just bombarding them with bad news, and then tell them one piece of good news, and then see the change.
Well, yeah. I mean, when you tell them good news, you give them a piece of cheese, and when you tell them bad news, you give them a little shock.
Okay, so Pavlovian stuff.
Well, I don't know. I don't eat them. Another fact here, people who listen to good news were 100 times more likely to be able to find matching lids in their for their Rogue containers.
Well, I've got to listen to vastly more good news then. Far out. I have got a whole cabinet full of lidless Tupperware.
So do we. It's just it's just a cupboard, and it's like a nightmare. Like you don't want to go near it. It's pretty much a real life version of a horror show, like of a horror movie.
Yeah. It is my great shame, and I dare say that will actually be my hoarders. My hoarders episode. They come to visit me and they just see a house filled to the brim of just lidless Tupperware.
We are the We are the Passion Podcast. We deal with Australian news and politics.
Not so seriously.
And today we are doing a good news episode celebrating 5,000 downloads. Thank you very much to everyone who's listening and for everyone who's downloaded an episode. I like to think that most of those downloads are probably just people who have Apple Podcasts set to automatically download the new episode. So I don't actually know
My
what
favorite kind of person. My favorite kind of person.
Usually our episodes are maybe a little more serious than this, but not as serious. Not so serious, you know. But today we're just a little more relaxed. We're going to start with our first story, our first good news story, Jake. And I was thinking at work today, what are some good news stories? Like, it's difficult to find them, isn't it? It's difficult to troll the news and trawl the news and try and find some good news stories. You can troll the news if you want.
Yep.
And I was walking around.
Murdoch's been doing it for years. Zing!
And I found myself singing some of the Powderfinger songs that have been played on their One Night Lonely new EP that they released. And I thought, gosh, that's good news, isn't it? That Powderfinger got back together. Were you a Powderfinger fan?
I was a Powderfinger fan, and it was actually helped. I just want to take a side note to say how much pleasure I get out of saying the term Powderfinger fan. But
can I just interrupt you there, Jake? I promise I'm not going to do that all episode. But Pete James, who I believe is maybe a host of the Aussie English podcast, just sent us a beautiful message about his good news, our first one for the night, and he said that he is watching on the toilet.
Oh, fantastic!
Well done, Pete. How's it going on there? Talk us through.
He's getting his business done while he's checking out other business. Anyway,
Skype us in live, Pete. Skype us in live. Tell us about Powderfinger.
Yeah, exactly. I was a Powderfinger fan. Enjoyed them immensely through my 20s, but I also ended up buying a house quite near to Bernard Fanning, the lead singer.
Did you?
When I lived in Moggill, he lived at a suburb near that, which I can't remember the name of.
Excellent.
Brookfield. He lived at Brookfield.
Of course.
And we were maybe 5 or 6 houses away from each other. Used to see him at the shops all the time.
Really?
He gave my daughter a high five once. Yeah, it was great.
He gave your daughter a high five?
Yeah. Well, I said, love your stuff, Bernard. And he's like, oh my gosh, your daughter's so cute. And then gave him a high five.
I like to call him Bernard.
Yep. Sure, he doesn't appreciate
Fanning.
that. Bernard Fanning. That's more. That's more fun than saying a Powderfinger fan.
I quite like this article here and it was just such a beautiful concert. I was chatting to my mate at work, Tim. Hi, Tim. And
hi, Tim.
Hi, Tim.
Big sponsor of the show.
Big sponsor of the show. Thanks for all of your money. And he just bought a house. Well, he finished building his house. His house is being finished built, and he's moving in like the next couple of days. So that's very exciting. Good news for him. It's a good news episode.
Also, the most stressful time of your life is when you move into a new house. But congratulations, Tim.
That. And I was chatting with him today.
Continue.
I was chatting with Tim today about the Powderfinger, and he said, how do you feel? Obviously being an ancient man, about Powderfinger reuniting. And I said, look, I'm not one of those people who likes to hang on to things. If a band breaks up and they get a new singer or something, I find it really hard to sort of get back into the swing of it. I think that bands who are famous, it's like a cultural shift, and it's sort of like a cultural thing. And I don't want to sort of get stuck into a trap of hanging on to that too much, So it was great when they were on because they just nailed it. And Bernard's voice just sounded great. The whole band sounded tight. They sounded just like they did years and years ago. Maybe a little bit of age in Bernard's voice, but other than that, and it didn't matter anyway. I mean, those songs have obviously aged so well. That they opened up with "Bless My Soul," and I've just been having that on repeat, and it's just been fantastic. Yep. I loved it. So really, really good news that they're getting back together.
Absolutely. As I said, I really enjoyed them throughout my 20s. And, looking forward to seeing what they do next.
Well, I think they're going to keep going. I think they're going to do stuff.
Oh, no, that's too much of an ask.
And I want to go and see them now, Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you can. You can watch them live from from their practice studio.
The performance was reportedly streamed 350,000 times. I actually played it
Wow.
I played it to my students, and just one song for those listening, just in case my boss is listening. We didn't spend all day listening to Powderfinger, heaven forbid. We spend all day listening to Sia, but and they said, "Oh, Mr. Savage, it's number one on trending on YouTube," and I was like, "Is it really?" And I was like, "Yeah, well, this is cool." So I didn't feel like such an old person, They were number one on trending on YouTube. So congratulations to them. They raised $427,000 in donations. Think for Beyond Blue and Support Act. So fantastic.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Elise Rogers, not Alice. Elise Rogers.
Hello, Elise.
This is her good news story. I'm going to bring it up. It's going to cover someone's head. It's going to cover your head, Jake.
Cover
My
mine.
good news story is that Crayola have launched different coloured skin crayons. So now my kids at work won't have to say my skin isn't pink. That's great news.
So first of all, why are you bringing your kids to work?
I think she might be a teacher.
Okay, all right. I did get that hint, but no, that's great. There are other things to draw. Now you can draw a skin-colored dragon.
Well, the thing is, you don't have to draw
castle.
Yeah. Look, I think there's a few jokes we could go down this path, but I think we'll reel that in. She did say hello back. Look, this is interactive, right? We're interacting tonight. This is good news. It's a good news hour. We started off with our Powderfinger story. That's great news for everyone. Really?
Yep. Especially, well, look, everyone with ears. I know, right?
If you don't have ears,
But
sorry we left you out.
Yeah, sorry, guys.
We'll draw them in
you
with
may
some
also
Crayola.
be suffering from. You may also be suffering from interaction with the show in general as well. But next story.
Yes.
Next story. After months upon months upon months of indecision, people twiddling their thumbs and needing to commentate their toddler walking from the or more like ambling from the living room into the kitchen in order to pull out all the drawers and leave everything on the kitchen floor. That no longer has to happen. That level of commentary can now sit by the wayside while people go back to watching football.
Football
I'm told
story,
that's
Jake.
how you pronounce it.
This is our first football story.
Yes, exactly. And it seems that the NRL, the National Rugby League, is returning on May 28th, tomorrow, Thursday. How exciting!
That's tomorrow.
See, I'm not even. It is tomorrow. I'm not even necessarily a football fan.
Yeah.
Or at least not anymore. I was certainly in the past, but I'll be watching this. I mean, it's a bold return to sports.
Oh, Jake, that's a headline. A bold return to sports. I'm excited.
Yes.
I'm excited.
It is pretty exciting.
Okay, so this is after the hiatus. Now, my understanding is that nothing to do with the fact that I crammed about 3 or 4 podcasts about NRL before this podcast, but this is round 3. So they had 2 rounds before the whole COVID situation, and then this is round 3, and the games start tomorrow night.
Yes.
And what did you do with my PDF, Jake? The tomorrow night is Eels versus Bulldogs at Bankwest Stadium. Estimated kickoff time is 8:05.
Fantastic.
It's very exciting. Who are you barracking for, Jake?
Look, I've always been not either of those teams supporter.
But if you have to choose.
No. Look,
what's your favourite animal, an eel or a bulldog?
Well, they're 2 great animals. I mean, let's start there.
Yeah.
But no, look, I was raised on the Sharks.
Right.
And I would say the Cronulla Sharks, and I would say that the Parramatta Eels are close enough.
Yep.
They're not close, but they're close enough. Because I don't like the Canterbury Bulldogs. Nobody likes them. It's a rough and tumble team.
I think people do, Jake. I think people are hardcore fans.
I'm just hoping to stir up some controversy, Greg.
Yeah, well,
look,
that's
in
what we
terms
need.
of tomorrow night, I
Yeah.
reckon the doggies.
You reckon the
That's who
doggies?
I'll be getting behind. Yeah.
Yeah, look. I mean, coming from where they were to where they are now, that's a bold move, isn't it?
Home.
Yeah.
Yeah, from home to a stadium. Yeah.
I like the idea of the football happening on an island. That was floated around for a little while. Forgive the pun.
It'd make a great reality TV show.
Oh, wouldn't
Football Island.
Football
Island.
God, Jake, that is a good idea.
Yep.
I think we should start.
Can I choose the island?
Yeah, absolutely. Which one would you choose? Norfolk? Magnetic? Christmas?
If Pete James is still listening, yes, I agree. It should be Norfolk Island. It's some good history there. Look, I reckon Norfolk Island would be great, but Christmas Island actually isn't a bad idea, and I'm not suggesting that.
No,
for
hang
any,
on. I messed that up. I messed it up, Jake. Round 3, May 28th. It's the Broncos versus the Eels.
Oh, well, see, I'm way
reading...
behind the Broncos.
God. Okay, so you would obviously go for the Broncos because you live near Brisbane. I mean, you can basically smell
that's
Brisbane.
not the only reason to go for the Broncos, but
very good reason.
No, I do enjoy the Broncos.
What a shame that I promised myself I wouldn't edit this podcast. Sorry to everyone. Okay, and kickoff time, just in case you were waiting for us to tell you your football news, is not 8:05. It's actually 7:50. So 7:50 p.m. Set your Siri alarms and your Alexa alarms and your Google alarms and get those alarms going for 7:50. Kickoff time at Suncorp Stadium. It's broadcast live on 9 and Fox.
Yeah, that's great. Not too many people there in the stadium.
Are they
exactly
having people?
0?
Yeah. Is that right? No people.
The amazing thing with this, with getting the season up and running or back and running, I suppose, is that it involves multiple states.
Yes.
In Australia, but it also involves New Zealand.
Yes. Yeah. Are they flying over? Yeah, they must be.
They are flying over.
Warriors versus Dragons. They're playing on Saturday, the May 30th.
Yeah, so I think most of the teams are essentially in one spot, and they are all training in that one spot. So it must be close to where they're playing as well. But there's such things as some of the international players and coaches from the New Zealand coach I read earlier on in the week. He got permission to fly over and then get a train all by himself. He'll be the single solitary person on that train,
right,
in order to work with the quarantine.
Look, it's important.
So it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing, and it's great that they're putting it together. I'm glad Jacinda has said yes to that, because I know she said yes to a few Hollywood buffs who are doing movies over there at the moment. So they're able to fly over there. So I would hope and suggest that sport should absolutely be next on the table. I mean, you can do your movies, you got to do your sport.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, let's not pretend that The Hobbit 17 isn't more important than NRL, but
it's 18, Jake. Keep up.
18, sorry.
Well, good luck to the Cowboys, and shout out to anyone who's listening from Townsville. They're playing at the Queensland Country Bank Stadium, which is exciting. That's the new stadium up there, and I hear that
speaking of Townsville.
Yeah, this is Townsville, so it's huge. Yeah, 6 p.m. on Friday night. So new stadium. Good luck to them. Good luck to the Cowboys. Go the Cowboys.
Exactly.
Yay, woo.
No, sorry, I thought you were giving yourself a little segue there, because the next story does actually.
Hang on, I got one. We got a good news story that's been added to our comments, so I'm going to bring that up.
I'm primed.
It's from Rebecca Anderson. She's from Mount Druitt, and she says, good news story. All the judges turned around for Guy Sebastian's brother on The Voice. That is great.
Yeah.
What
does that mean?
Well, I think
when you turn around?
Yeah, they're all facing. So what they do is they all have, the three judges will face like the back wall or the audience, and then they will listen to the person sing, and then if they like the singer, they'll turn around. And I think it's like the first person to turn around or something like that. They get to choose that person for their team.
Right.
I know that from watching it for about 10 seconds, and I'm sure that Rebecca Anderson will tell me if
Correct. Yeah.
if she's from King's Langley.
How-
She'd like me to correct that.
How awkward would that be as a judge looking at the audience? You'd be staring at the audience. They'd be staring at you.
Well, I
Oh,
think that
wonder
the
what he's
idea
gonna
is
do. I
that
wonder what he's gonna do.
they're not. There's no audience there at the moment, but yeah, I think the idea
Okay.
is that so they don't know what it looks like. They don't know what the person looks like. It's a mystery. They're just going off the voice. See,
Which is the way that it should be. Absolutely, I love that. I love that idea.
well, that's how I chose you for the podcast, Jake.
Yeah, I know. It's all about the voice.
All right, a segue to Townsville.
But segue to the next. Exactly. Yeah, we were talking about Townsville, but here's the next story: is that a giant kookaburra has been built during lockdown. I got to ask, Greg, what have you been building? What have you been building during coronavirus, during
wealth?
the lockdown?
Look, I've been building my my studio. You can see my monkey behind me, and a few little bits and bobs. I've been building my studio, Jake. I've been building knowledge and wealth,
An
and
empire.
my studio. Yes, a dynasty. Not that you can build a dynasty, of course, because that's just a family who ran China. Okay, so talk us through what is this giant kookaburra? I mean, kookaburras are pretty big. How big is this kookaburra?
They are relatively big, yes, but a handmade laughing kookaburra built in Queensland front yard is stopping people in their tracks with its enormous size and booming laugh. The Townsville local Farvard Dullery, a doctor, I believe, has been stuck in Brisbane during the lockdown, spending his spare time perfecting a giant kookaburra in his southwest suburb of Bellbowrie. That's where I used to live. That's the suburb right next to where Bernard Fanning was.
How did he make it?
Yes.
What's it made out of? Real
It's
kookaburra?
made out of yes. He harvested both the bodies and souls of multiple kookaburras and imbued them into his.
There's something about the word harvest.
Yes, he was. He harvested their souls. One day I'd like to hear a serious ABC news reader talk about harvesting the souls of little children.
All right, we're on
that
good
may
news. Good
get
news.
it out, but yes, they used he used circular poles, metal poles. He used a large amount of wood, and I believe the head is made out of a couple of barrels. But yes, he's been inviting residents to have a quote sticky beak.
Yes.
While adhering to physical distancing as the kookaburra neared its completion. It's about 8.5 meters from tail to beak.
Holy.
And about 4.5 meters high. That's quite large.
Goodness me, that is enormous.
Exactly.
That's
exactly. It's not his first.
Much larger than a real kookaburra.
It's at least 2 times bigger.
Okay, so this was for the Townsville Cultural Festival. Okay, is that so?
Yeah, and
obviously that's
Dr.
so it's going
Dullery,
ahead, right?
Yeah, well, no, it's potentially not.
Right.
There you go.
It will go ahead, Jake.
If the it's unknown if it'll go ahead in August, but yeah, quite interesting. This gentleman, Dr. Dullery, he's done a number of these big types of sculptures and projects in the past. He's done a giant koala and other ones.
And other animals. That's exciting.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good news story. Yeah.
I think so.
Well, I mean, unless you're terrified of kookaburras.
Exactly.
I can't imagine everyone in that street is happy that a giant kookaburra is being dragged around daily laughing. I mean, I know, like, kookaburras for me are one of my favorite birds, right? Like, we get kookaburras and we get cockatoos and we get all other animals, all other birds, right? Where we live here in the Blue Mountains. And I find, like, cockatoos I find the most fascinating because they have such a full-on screech. And when 40 million of them get together and decide to ruin your afternoon, they can really do a good job. So I can't make them my favorite, even though I think they look kind of cool and they look great on tea towels and cups and hats, but not so much that sound in real life is is tremendously
Oh,
bad.
it's deafening.
But
Yeah, it's deafening.
kookaburras, and they also cockatoos will also rip up your veranda and just destroy your house. They're basically
They're little vandals.
Yeah. That's one way of putting it politely. Yeah, and
PG.
Yeah, PG. We'll keep it PG. And look at the kookaburra though is a very polite bird, and just looks beautiful on our balcony. Doesn't make any noise. When they do, it's quite a nice noise. They don't all get together and start making a big. Anyway, kookaburras, big sponsor of the show. Now,
yep.
I do have a few Instagram messages to read out, Jake.
Oh, fantastic. Let's go.
Okay, all right. So someone messaged us, Thomas Didymus, I'm going to say. He messaged us on Instagram, and he said that he got an A on his art assignment. So very well done,
that's fantastic.
Thomas.
Well done, Thomas.
I feel wonderful for you, Thomas. It'd be great if you could get in contact with us and let us know what the art assignment was. That'd be good. That would be good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, someone.
And was it a giant kookaburra?
Yes. Was it a giant?
I'd give that an A.
Is this connected? Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Is this connected? And we did get another Instagram message. We got another Instagram message here. I don't know how to work Instagram, so I'm just figuring that out. I would have thought it was a bit easier to get to my messages, but obviously not. So, Jake, tell us about. I need a younger person to show me how to get to my messages on Instagram. Oh, press the thing. Press the thing. Here we go. Yeah. Oh, you press the paper plane for anyone looking. Scarlett Kearns from Sydney. She said,
hey, Scarlett.
Hello, Scarlett. She said, it was my birthday last Wednesday, and my amazing stepdad and my mum organised for me and two of my friends to go out for dinner. Well, isn't that just dandy?
That is great news.
Happy birthday for last Wednesday, Scarlett.
Yeah, and what a great thing to do. Get out of the freaking house.
We might, yeah. I think that's great that you were able to go out for dinner.
Absolutely. Breaking restrictions and all, but hey, that's fantastic.
That's what
illegal
birthdays are all
activities
about.
on your birthday.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And, we've gotten you a giant kookaburra for your birthday, Scarlett. So
it's on its way to Townsville, though. You may need to chase it down.
It will be waiting outside of your window before too long.
Exactly.
Speaking of fossilized bones, Jake, we have another good news story here. The fossilized bones.
Masterful segue.
Of a rare, delicate dinosaur, Ephlorosaur.
Yes.
Ephlorosaur.
Yes.
Identified in an Australian first. In an Australian exclusive, we've discovered another dinosaur. We had another dinosaur. Is that Muttaburrasaurus or something? Is that it?
Yeah. Yep. Muttaburrasaurus. That's the iconic Australian dinosaur. Absolutely.
Yep. So tell us about this one. What happened?
That's all the information I have about this.
Okay, great.
But yes, the Elaphrosaur, Ephlorosaur, I think you said. Ephlorosaur.
Yep.
I mean, how could you?
Well,
Elaphrosaur.
Just depends on whether you want to say it correctly or not, Jake.
Well, I can't guarantee that I am either. But yes, a, quote, delicately built dinosaur that roamed Australia when it was part of Antarctica has been identified thanks to a volunteer's lucky find amid a jumble of other fossilized bones.
Wow.
The Swinburne University paleontologist Stephen Poropat has led a research team that identified that a 5-centimeter long neck bone, or vertebra, if you will, that was found nearly 5 years ago, belonged to a dinosaur known as an Elaphrosaur.
Right.
The name means light-footed bird. The species has only been identified in a handful of places around the world after first being found in Tanzania in the early 20th century. Elaphrosaur bones have never been found before in Australia, and the discovery by volunteer Jessica Parker in 2015 at Camp Otway. Yeah.
Isn't that the
on
girl
the southeast
from Sex in the City?
Is it?
Oh, Sarah
True.
Jessica. That's Sarah Jessica Parker.
Sarah Jessica.
All right, anyway, carry on.
Anyway, yes, it's been found in the Victorian coast, and its recent identification confirmed that they lived here in Australia about 110 million years ago, when we were part of Gondwana land.
Yeah. I'm a little bit disappointed. I thought that this was actually our own dinosaur, like we had our own one again, but no. This is just one that was here. So it just backs up the evidence for a Gondwana land theory, yeah?
Well, no, Gondwana land is not really a theory. It's
what
well,
I mean.
It is a theory. It's fact.
I suppose,
Yeah.
Jake. I'm trying to throw you a bone here.
That was very
good.
Very good.
There we go.
Masterfully done.
It's called the long walk. Now, the other thing is that I find fascinating about this is this link between birds. I know that Jurassic Park was pretty big on the whole, hey, there's a link between birds and dinosaurs thing. That's fact now, is it? Like, obviously there's no disputing that chickens are descended from T-Rex.
Well, not specifically from T-Rex, but certainly from a species of sauropod. Most assuredly so.
A what a pod?
Sauropods.
What are they?
It's the overall classification for dinosaurs.
A sauropod.
Sauropod.
Why don't you just call them dinosaurs?
Because it sounds cooler if I use a different word.
Alligators, crocodiles, dinosaurs?
I think they were a different branch. I
branch?
Thought. Different branch of the animal kingdom.
Okay. So they weren't dinosaurs. So I've been telling my daughter that, like, we still have dinosaurs. We've got crocodiles. They're still dinosaurs. Look at them.
We do. We do. I mean, we do still have dinosaurs in that. I mean, the animal that you mentioned.
Crocodiles?
Chickens.
Kookaburras.
Chickens
Okay.
are absolutely descended from sauropods.
Thank you. That's all I needed. I hate chickens, Jake.
I freaking love chickens.
Yeah,
Two of my best friends are chickens.
I am a chickenist. I hate chickens. Jake, I need you to move your camera like a little bit one way. And I'm going to say to your left, like I need to see more of your right shoulder. Yeah. Yeah. Perfect. Oh, that's much better. Yeah, I hate chickens. But anyway, let's not go down that path.
Well, I'm going to have to introduce you to my friend Mildred.
No, it doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter who you introduce me to. Doesn't matter how many eggs they lay. I hate chickens with a passion. I could pretty much make a whole podcast at this point about how much I hate chickens. I hate them so much that I get frustrated when I'm sitting down and I go to watch one of my favorite TV shows and the neighbor's chicken starts barking, or the rooster from 4 houses down who decided that they were never going to go to the shops ever again and do everything locally and have chickens in their backyard. Their rooster starts going nuts because they don't. It's a myth, right? They don't know that it's dawn. They don't know that it's sunrise. All those little scenes you see in those pretty little Disney movies. Roosters don't give a toss when they cock-a-doodle-doo.
No, they do it. They do it early in the morning.
Nah.
It's wake up. Wake up, it's time to eat.
No, they do it.
And I'm the first one up.
They do it all the time, whenever the hell they want.
Well, you know what?
Yes.
Greg, on that point, I absolutely concede it is so inconsiderate of your neighbours, not of the chickens, but of your neighbours who you live in a suburban area, don't you? How rude. How rude that they would have roosters.
Oh, absolutely. Look, anyway. All right. So, we are let's go down the rabbit hole of good news regarding coronavirus.
Let's go down the chicken hole.
Now, public servants are having their wages freeze, Jake. That's some good news.
Yes. And as a public servant, I highly endorse it.
Let's delve deeper into that, Jake. How far down the rabbit hole can we go? Public service. No, to do with Jake and I are both public service. And all of our views on this show are our own and do not represent those of the companies or organizations that we work for. In some realistic...
I'll go one step further.
Yes.
And won't even discuss anything related to my industry.
You're breaking up. I can't hear you.
Correct answer.
Australia is hosting the first human vaccine trials. Now, I thought that I'd read this headline about 5,000 times before. So tell me what's happening.
Yeah, so Australia, the first Australian human trials of a coronavirus vaccine are about to kick off with more than 100 volunteers. The trials, which are being run, overseen by the US biotechnology company Novavax or Novavax rather, will take place. Novavax flu or something like that. It seems very familiar. Anyway,
Can you just say that last line
in
again? Because
Melbourne
your
and
Skype went all
Brisbane.
wonky. Skype went wonky. Can you just say that last line again?
Classic.
Yeah.
Yes, the trials, which are being overseen by US biotechnology company Novavax, will take place in Melbourne and Brisbane with 131 healthy adults between 18 and 59 years. The infectious disease expert Dr. Paul Griffin from Brisbane's Mater Health Service is one of the researchers overseeing the phase 1 clinical trials, which is the first step in human testing. The most amazing thing here, Greg, the most amazing thing is that if we are able to successfully create a coronavirus vaccine, it will be the first coronavirus vaccine ever created. That's amazing.
Well, that is amazing.
We have been unsuccessful
when you say
to this, because, you know, sorry, go on.
You're talking about swine flu and avian flu.
Swine? No, they were influenzas. They were strains of the influenza. H1N1, H3N1.
Sorry, you're talking about... Shit.
I'm talking about coronavirus because coronavirus is a coronavirus.
Yeah, but hang on. No, but it's a coronavirus. You're talking about what was the big one? Like last year?
Last year?
No, a couple of years ago. Aren't they different strains? There's different types of coronaviruses, Jake.
Well, there's coronaviruses.
Yes.
And then let's pull down that down the line of demarcation.
Yes.
Coronaviruses is one type of virus.
Yes.
And then there's influenza, which is another type of virus.
All right.
And within that, you've got swine flu and the bird flu and the Spanish flu.
But aren't there like COVID-19 is a type of coronavirus? What are the other coronaviruses?
There's other ones known as other coronaviruses.
But we've talked about...
I think rhinovirus is a coronavirus.
I thought we talked about it on the show. Anyway, I've got it wrong. Okay.
As I speed Google types of
coronavirus. Yeah, so the coronavirus is like the banner.
Corona.
Okay, so the other thing is, Jake, why is a US company doing it in Australia? Why is it a bit like when The Matrix was made? They did it in Sydney because it was cheaper to get actors here and make movies here in Sydney than it was to do it in the United States of America. Is it sort of a similar sort of situation? And we'll never know. We'll never know because Skype has stopped.
No, we never will.
Did you hear that? Did you hear what I said about The Matrix?
I mean, none of it.
Okay, so when they made The Matrix, they made it in Sydney because it was cheaper to make it in Sydney. It was cheaper to get actors and all the sorts of stuff here in Sydney rather than make it in the US. Is that why the US is doing trials for the vaccine here?
No, my guess is that they are doing it all around the world. And Australia is known as a country that has a high amount of regulation around the creation of vaccines, as well as we are also known as a country that takes clinical trials very seriously. Suggests that it's probably for those reasons.
Okay. I haven't gone anywhere, Jake. I've just turned off my camera just to try and free up a bit of bandwidth here. Okay, that's fascinating. All right. So what's next in this trial? You said that there was a phase 1. What is the next phase? We're not doing well. We're breaking up. What is the next phase? You've said phase 1. What is the next phase?
No, we fixed it. Well, you might be surprised to learn the next phase is phase 2.
What happens in phase 2?
So phase 1 is phase one, phase one, what they generally test for is not necessarily that it works, more that it doesn't adversely affect the population in which they're testing it on.
Right. Okay.
So, it doesn't kill people.
Yep, that's a good start.
You're slightly better off than you were.
Right. So but they're injecting it into healthy people. So then they inject you with the coronavirus?
No, generally, again, phase one is really all about, does this thing that we inject you with cause you to die?
Right.
And, I mean, look,
where do I sign
probably, up? But that's the phase one of most trials. So it's not specific to coronavirus, but people have been flocking to do these to enroll in these vaccine trials.
Yeah.
And this company Novavax has said that by the end of this year they could have hundreds of millions of vaccines produced if they're able to quickly progress through the phase 1, 2, and then 3 of the vaccine trials, and then on to production. And they've even said, by next year, if this is a successful vaccine, because of essentially the both the manufacturing and the production process that they use, they can have billions of vaccines of the vaccine, billions of ampules of the vaccine ready for distribution by next year. That's amazing. Pretty incredible.
That is amazing. Absolutely incredible. Everyone's sort of probably in the same boat as me. Well, a lot of people would be anyway, in the fact that they've sort of had a bit of a crash course in vaccine development. And now we know that it takes a long time, that there's plenty of hoops to jump through, plenty of hurdles to jump over, and which is a great thing. It's a really good thing. The downside of that, of course, is that time it takes to get one developed. So, rushing it along through those hurdles, through the hoops, rather, that's a great idea. I think it's a very good idea, and something that I hope that the government considers and endorses, and
then injects in all their citizens. And by the way, you were thinking of MERS and SARS.
And
those two are indeed
embarrassing.
Two are indeed coronaviruses.
Well, you know what? That's my job on this podcast, Jake, is to say something that just pops into my head, and then hopefully I learn and listeners learn as well.
People validate you later.
That's right. And then they can go to their workplaces and be like, ugh, swine flu is not a coronavirus, you turd. You're thinking of SARS and MERS. God, don't you listen to the Pouch the Podcast? Speaking of the Pouch the Podcast, Jake, thank you so much for chatting with me today. All this good news. I feel great. My cortisol levels have dropped down. I feel 100 times more attractive, and I feel like I can probably find a few lids in the cupboard of doom.
I mean, that to me is every bit of the reason why I do this show.
Oh, Jake.
With you, Greg.
I think I'm going to cry.
And that makes me so happy and so internally validated.
Oh, internally validated. That's the best type of validation.
I know, right? It was such a pleasure, Greg, and thank you so much for giving me a reason to do a good news episode of The Pouch. Not just because we do The Pouch, but also because it was your idea to do the good news version.
Look, Jake, no, it wasn't. This is a trap.
Was it?
Yeah.
It was. It was your idea.
No, it was your idea. I said.
Oh, that's right. You said, let's do a party.
Yeah, let's have a party. And then you said, how about a good news episode? And I thought, all right, that'll do.
Yeah. And then I spent like the next 4 or 5 days trying to find good news.
Yeah, that's right. It's a challenge, isn't it? But there's plenty to talk about in next week's episode, Jake. So I look forward to chatting with you on Sunday when and we do usually deal with Australian news and politics, not kookaburras and things, or chickens. And we deal with Australian news and politics.
Not so seriously.
Thank you, Skype delay. And Jake, when our listeners have finished feeling internally validated, what would you like them to do?
3-step program. Rate, review, and subscribe.
Excellent plan. Follow it. Don't delay.
Yes.
And if you'd like to share the love with your friends, families, or foes, you can do so by telling them to head to thepouchthepodcast.com, where they can choose their favorite fodcast player of choice. Jake, It's not the weekend. Usually it's the weekend when I go high pitch like that. It's not the weekend. It's just Wednesday. Now I'm depressed after all that hard work. Hey, we should live stream us watching the footy. That'll be fun.
100%.
We'll see everyone on Thursday night at 10 to 8. See? Yeah.
I'll be there.
Thursday night, 10 to 8. Broncos versus the... Damn it.
Eels.
Broncos versus the Eels.
Parramatta Eels.
Go the mighty Bronc-Eels. Up the mighty Bronc-Eels. They always win until they don't.
What a great song.
That was a good song. They can steal that.
That was a great song.
Yeah. Bronc-Eels merchandise would be fun. Oh, show us your merch, Jake.
Yeah.
For those who are watching, for those who can't see at home, Jake is holding up a figurine which looks identical to him. It's so funny.
My daughter found a little pop figurine and said, "Dad, this looks like you."
I mean, it could easily be Jesus, but it's not quite Jesus. It doesn't have the long hair. It's got your hair.
It's got my hair.
It's just crazy.
It's fantastic.
All right, Jake, thank you so much for chatting with me this week. And I will chat to you about a little more serious stuff, but not so seriously, on Sunday.
I look forward to speaking to you then. But Greg, I can't. Oh,
Still going.
How can you not like chickens?
They just are so dumb. And I hate dumb animals. And chickens are just so dumb.
They're not dumb.
Tell me one thing they do that's smart.
About this.
And also eggs. I mean, you could just go to the shop and buy some eggs. When you have chickens and you want eggs, you have to go out. You have to fight the damn rooster, first of all. It's basically Mortal Kombat. The rooster thinks you want something to do with the hens, and you're just like, I don't care about your hens, rooster. I don't care about them. Look at me. I'm a human being. I don't want anything to do with your hens.
Tapped into a deep-seated trauma, Greg.
It is, Jake, because I used to have to go out and collect the damn eggs. Okay. And then I'd have
We have discovered the root of this issue.
Then my parents would take me to the shop where the eggs were right there. You could buy 12 of the damn things and put them in your basket, and you didn't have to worry. We lived in far north Queensland too, Jake. So guess what? Jake? Our chicken shed had to be damn cyclone-proof, didn't it? You couldn't just have some wire up. Yep. No. You had to worry about how cyclone-proof your chicken shed was. I mean, come on. You can go to the shop. You're like, I was happy to spend the extra $40,000 and get some free-range eggs. I didn't mind about that. I was happy to support the chicken and the chicken's industry and the chicken's well-being, right? Yeah. But
farming, absolutely. Got to support the farmers.
Yeah, support the farmers. All of that, right? Love that. But not go out and just run the gauntlet that was boxing with the rooster before you got anywhere near the eggs. Then you had to take the eggs out, and it's just traumatic.
I mean, this description, Greg, has made me very happy. But anyway, until next week.
Peace. No, I won't do that to you. All right. We do need a catchphrase, though. All right. I'm out. See ya.